And yesterday, following CDL Major Weekend, we dedicated the video instead to actually Scump and his comments on mental health and his struggles with it. What he said, he has been sad for months. In case you guys want to check that out. Now we roll back to the weekend, which was stellar. I wouldn't say overall a surprise as FaZe take it yet again. But besides that, some trash talk, some beef, some banter, which we do love to see. First and foremost, Crimsix and Formal reignited yet again after a dominant weekend, at least when it comes head-to-head. Empire versus OpTic for Crimsix, taking that, well, 2-0 head-to-head versus OpTic, 6-1 on that map count as well. It was fairly dominant, one would say. Clayster giving comments on the OG Dynasty and also being pissed at a cameraman. What else could you ask for? Of course, first we talk about Crimsix versus Formal, Empire versus OpTic, the first head-to-head matchup of the entire event, and it was not even close.
He might have found as everyone from OpTic gets wiped off the board and you're back to square one.
Here comes the artillery, and it is going to hit those players. Oh, this Shotzzy beats them to it. There you go. One thing that can stop Shotzzy seemingly his teammates. Here come the other set of streaks from Illy. Going to slow these players down further. Final 10 seconds. This is it. The 3-1. Unless someone can get on that point. Envoy making the mad dash. He does. 2.6 seconds, and he wins the gunfight, though. He's got to stay alive. Shotzzy's there to get it. No one left from OpTic to make the run, and it was a heroic attempt, but it was not enough. Dallas make it a 3-0 here on day one.
And then they later on face deeper in the lower bracket, and it's Empire once again taking down OpTic. Following that matchup, it's Crimsix rehashing what we talked about a couple weeks prior, which actually stemmed back to CoD Champs 4 to 5 years ago, where it was FormaL winning 25K for the MVP and not splitting it with his former OpTic teammates. Crimsix and him went back and forth on Twitter. In case you guys missed that video, well, Crimsix dove back on that, as one can expect, in a very heated fashion. I shouldn't say out of nowhere, but this one, saying GG's OpTic, adding Formal, you owe me 6,250 of the MVP split, and when the F does Jumanji 3 come out, you Jack Black looking F. Rest the team, love you guys. Solid games, to which Formal simply replied, saying GG's, and everyone else was taken a bit aback. Then later on, it's actually Formal again saying, Crimsix has the right to talk like that because they were dominant. It's something they just could not get over, and we'll see him next time. This is certainly setting up for a future. If OpTic, I know people are thinking it, right? What if OpTic somehow take down Empire in the future now? This is just kind of set up the building blocks for probably a killer Formal comeback, but we'll see if that does ever happen. Someone very pissed off at this weekend, and rightfully so, is Clayster of the Subliners. Of course, Asim could not be there. He has now acquired that visa, so should be back with the roster in Texas sometime soon, which is amazing to hear because he did miss the first return to LAN, and Subliners certainly struggled. Not only missed out on Asim, but apparently several issues and delays with their opening series. I mean, it was endless, and it did suck to see a favored team like Subliners going into the LAN have so many issues.
Once things get going and Clay gets firing, who knows? But there is a referee standing behind Hydra. It does look like he has moved away. And ladies and gentlemen, we do have another issue. Hydra is having something wrong with his controller, and friends, we will be right back.
And then not to mention, apparently the camera guy was a dick, and that's not my words. That's Clayster saying that apparently he was making fun of Clay, who was apparently upset. I don't know how this became a thing. As Clayster tweeted, LMAO, the camera guy was like, he's so pissed off. He's raging. Guy was acting like we couldn't hear him 1 foot away after a clip surfaced of Clayster just staring at the camera guy. One of stat members actually said, I talked to our production team and they are going to handle it. Sorry about that, brother. Which Clayster goes, I mean, bro, it's always something new. Got the camera guy legit making fun of me as I'm talking to my team. And later on saying, I was in disbelief. I let it go on for a second, and that's where you see me staring at him, and he just kept going with it. F him. So there's that. I just can't imagine being a camera guy and then showing your kind of bias as you're trying to put on a show and a production and laughing, or, you know, kind of making fun of someone like Clayster of all people. Yeah, incredibly unprofessional. Hopefully things are handled, and I'm sure by now that camera guy has probably seen those complaints, but hopefully things will be handled appropriately. Now, something on a total different side note, something that Hex has talked a lot about has been Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. I know, random little assortment side piece here, but it was actually him and Hitch going back and forth with Clayster also further replied to that entailing the OpTic Dynasty. So let me read you these tweets and see what you kind of get out of them. But I thought it was kind of an overseen response by someone like Clayster over the weekend. As Hex goes, the thing is, I don't know if Courage and Hitch actually believe the whole LeBron James over Jordan thing, or if they're just trying to make me mad, because I actually do get mad, so I'm over it. Hitch says, Jordan never had to play against players like Durant or Curry. It's pretty simple. The league is just full of more talented people now, which is always my point. I personally think Jordan is the basketball GOAT, and that will never change, but he's not better than Bron, to which Clayster goes, are you applying this logic to the OpTic Gaming Dynasty then, too? Which I'm thinking, you know, what he would mean by that is if he does apply that logic, you have OpTic being the Michael Jordan of Call of Duty, you know, back in the day, super dominant, all of a sudden, all of this talent right now, the next gen talent is extremely good, and you have a team like FaZe who is also now dominating with all the new talent. So if that logic is applied, like Clayster said, OpTic Gaming is the Michael Jordan, and if he's applying that to Hitch's statement, that does mean that FaZe is LeBron, and OpTic is not better than FaZe, but OpTic is still the GOAT compared to FaZe for now, which I agree with. What do you guys think? Let's not get too controversial to end this one off. Obviously, FaZe taking yet another major in, I would say, mostly dominant fashion. Empire, you know, the first one to take him off Moscow in hardpoint and still lose a best of 9. But hey, I will say this, a best of 9 finally going to map 9. I like that. You know, that's the first time we've seen it. Viewership numbers were still oddly low and only breaking 60K by map 9. But hey, can't complain too much for a great back and forth series, but FaZe looking unbeatable, because if Empire can't do it after that performance, who the frick can? Till next time, hope you all enjoy. All right, you take care of yourselves. I'll catch you back here sometime soon. Okay, bye.